all. Just a horrible, horrible situation for them.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Hello and welcome back to TakeaSide. I'm your host, Max McElroy. We have a great show for you today, covering some fresh MLB news, an NFL division debate, and our first ever fantasy football segment. Be sure to log on to Sided.co or the Sided Debates app to post your debates, comment, and vote on all of the hottest topics to try and climb that leaderboard for a chance at a $25 Amazon gift card. For our first debate today, I am joined by Blake Sevenbergen and Isabel Scarborough to debate who the best team in the AFC West is. The reigning AFC champion, the Kansas City Chiefs, have had a rocky start to the season with a current 3-3 record and some bad losses against other AFC teams. Patrick Mahomes has struggled with turnovers this year, having 8 interceptions and 2 fumbles lost already. However, the Chiefs' offense is still among the NFL's best, and they have a favorable schedule for the next 6 weeks. On the other hand, the Los Angeles Chargers have met all expectations they had set after Justin Herbert's historic rookie campaign and are off to a 4-2 start and in command of the AFC West. New head coach Brandon Staley has the Chargers looking in great shape on offense, and they look to keep rolling throughout the rest of the season. But which team is better? Isabel, we'll start with you.
All right, I'm going to have to go with the Chargers. The Chargers are the better team in the AFC West. As said, they are at the top of our division right now. They have a pretty good start.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the Chargers have been playing above expectations so far. I will 100% agree. Justin Herbert's that guy. He's the next man up in the NFL. He's great. And I'm not going to deny the Chiefs' struggles either. Obviously, the defense is bad. There's 31 other defenses in the NFL that I trust over the Chiefs' defense right now. And Patrick Mahomes has turned the ball over 8 times. It's really bad. But this team's been to the Super Bowl 2 years in a row. They won one of them. And here's the thing. You've got Patrick Mahomes playing quarterback. You've got Tyreek Hill at wide receiver. Darrell Williams played good football yesterday. Travis Kelce's a monster. I mean, it's the best numbers-wise, player-wise, probably the best offense in the NFL. And you can't deny that, especially with how good they've been. I just don't see that anybody being better than the Chiefs by the end of the season.
Okay, I can see where you're going with that, but the Chiefs have never started with Patrick Mahomes and been so far in the AFC right now. Ever since Patrick Mahomes has started playing, they've been at the very top. And Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is a star on the Chiefs, and only being a few years in, he's done fantastic. And now with this year, he has way more of an offensive line, too.
I agree.
You got to think of Justin Herbert with his offensive line and the skills he can use on his offense. They could stay at the top of the AFC all season.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I agree. The Chargers, they're there. Brandon Staley is a great football coach. The Chargers are a good football team. I'm very high on the Chargers. But there's so, like, the things that the Chiefs need to fix are so little, I think. Obviously, defense, glaring problem. I've said that. But the best way to keep your defense off the field is to control the football. As soon as the Chiefs fix their turnover problem, they're not going to have to rely on their defense as much as they have so far this season. And they're going to start beating teams the way they beat teams last year. They're a good football team on offense. The defense is not far behind. They're bad. They're going to be better by the end of the year. I don't see any other way for this to go other than the Chiefs finding a way to win this division just because of Patrick Mahomes. Andy Reid is a great football coach. The Chiefs have done this. They've been there before. They've come from behind. They're going to do it again. I guarantee it.
All right, you bringing up some pretty good arguments. They have little critiques. The Chargers can look a little more like they need some fixes. But when we look at the games, the Chargers have played 2 division games, and they have beat both of their 2 division games, one being the Chiefs and one being the Raiders. So I think right now they are the best in the division. We have our defense, which in multiple categories is pretty high up with 30 other 2 teams. And defense wins championships. Defense can easily win a game when an offense throws interceptions and turnovers and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so here's the thing with the head-to-head between the Chiefs and the Chargers, though. The Chargers put up 30 points, beat the Chiefs 30-24. Yep, win the game. Cool. The Chiefs had 4 turnovers, and the Chargers only won by 1 score. Eliminate 2 of those turnovers, and the Chiefs could win by 2 touchdowns. I mean, it's that close. It's that close. And the Chiefs are they've got better weapons on offense right now. Keenan Allen, really good at football. Mike Williams, really good at football. Are they as good as Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce? Absolutely not.
Okay, you bring up a lot of good points. I'm going to say they're both very good teams. The AFC West specifically is a challenging division with the Chiefs and the Chargers very specifically. But as seen in the past few weeks, the Chargers have over and over done better than the Chiefs have.
Yeah, I won't disagree. I mean, obviously we're going to have to agree to disagree here. Both teams are on the rise. I think the Chiefs are coming back. I can't wait to see them play again. It's going to be great football. The AFC West is a solid division. I'm looking forward to seeing how it plays out the rest of the year, and we'll be back after a short break.
From adversity, we rose. We made history and became pioneers, voyagers, champions, Jayhawks. And when our chant rises, haunting and hallowed, Jayhawks are telling the world what's near. Victory.
For students searching for a way to stay active in an outdoorsy way, the City of Lawrence has bike trails running in every direction, and with the new bike share program, we can stay in shape as we tour the sights of our beautiful city. Clinton Lake is only a short 30-minute bike ride away from Daisy Hill and has the most incredible sunset location in all of Lawrence. Walking campus may give you the KU calves, but biking can give you the KU thighs. Bike Lawrence today.
We are joined by Justin Pottinger, and he gives us his fantasy football takes on who are the best players to buy and sell. Justin, take it away.
We are now 6 weeks complete with the NFL season, meaning we are just about halfway through the fantasy year. Here are my 3 biggest buy low and sell high players heading into next week. Starting with buy low, my first player is Calvin Ridley. Ridley hasn't lived up to expectations so far this season, not recording a 100-yard receiving game yet and only receiving 1 touchdown. Calvin's second-round ADP has made managers frustrated. This is the perfect time for managers to make a push for the talented wideout, as his stock is at the lowest it could possibly be all season. Already having his bye is a plus, along with the Falcons facing off against a very friendly schedule the rest of the way. My second buy low player is Chase Claypool. After the Steelers released the news that star wideout Juju Smith-Schuster is out for the remainder of the year with an injury, Claypool's stock rose tremendously. Claypool will now see an increase of targets and snap percentage. The Steelers' bye is week 7, so now would be a perfect time to make a move. My last buy low player is Christian McCaffrey. Unfortunately, CMC is now placed on the IR for at least 3 more weeks. Luckily, this leaves the door open for a possible trade. Specifically, managers who are sitting with a positive record aim for a CMC owner who's doing poorly and need to make a move immediately. 3 weeks will go by quicker than you think, and now is a great time to trade for the number 1 running back in fantasy. Now for 3 sell-high players, starting with Courtland Sutton. Sutton is the first player that is on my sell-high list. Sutton has been performing nicely with second-year star Jerry Jeudy being on the Broncos IR. However, Jeudy returns to practice next week and has a shot at playing in week 7. This ultimately will hurt Sutton's stock, which means sell high while you can. My second sell high player is wide receiver Tyler Lockett. After star quarterback Russell Wilson now out with an injury for multiple weeks, Geno Smith will be the man in charge. Lockett's value takes a straight downfall, and I don't see him being relevant until Russ is back and healthy. Currently a top 15 wide receiver, Lockett is a must-sell player. My last and final player that I'm going to mention today is tight end Dawson Knox. Knox has been a gem this year in the tight end department, and his stock is at an all-time high. The Buffalo offense is a pass-first team that benefits Knox, but the amount of offensive weapons on the team could hurt Knox's target share. Right now, Knox is being saved by touchdowns, recording 5 through 5 weeks. A touchdown-dependent player is not someone who will win you a fantasy league, but can be used for trade bait. Those are my 6 players. Now go make moves and win your league.
Thanks, Justin. I just want to give a quick shout out to Hunter Henry. I think he is a player that everyone should buy. He has scored 2 touchdowns in the last 2 games. I think he is going to continue to impress as Mac Jones also progresses as the quarterback at South B debate.
Now they're beating us on the boards out there, guys. This is your territory, Grimson. Do your job.
Grimson. Hello? Hi, honey. What? Now? All right. The itsy bitsy spider climbed up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain. And the itsy bitsy spider climbed up the spout again.
I love you, Daddy.
I love you too, sweetheart. Hey, it's my girl. You know, my daughter.
Love. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life. You may not hear it at first, but it's there. Our chant. Rising. On this summit, callings converge. Voices unify into a chorus that sounds out for good. For greatness. Can you hear it?
Welcome back. For our third and final debate, we will be discussing potential changes that should be made in the MLB. After the Dodgers and Giants NL wildcard game, the Giants lost on a check swing that caused a lot of controversy as to whether or not it was even a legitimate strike. The conversation of robot umps have come up a lot recently as a potential way to fix some of the inconsistencies in the way that baseball games are run. I'm joined by Ryan Atchison and Mitch Jones to discuss if this is a change that needs to be made. What are your thoughts?
Well, I want to say that game the other night with the Giants and Dodgers, that was a terrible call. A terrible call. Whether you are a Dodgers fan or a Giants fan, that was just a terrible call. And a lot of these calls have been kind of consistent over the last few years, where you're seeing where it comes down to the final call and the point where it's a questionable call and it ruins the game or ruins the season for a team. Now with the robot umpire situation, I think it's a good idea to add this element to the game. Here's reason number 1. It eliminates all the inconsistencies that umpires have had and a lot of complaints that have been going on for the last few seasons. Minor League Baseball implemented this last year, and for a lot of it, there's like this earpiece that goes into their ear, and they can hear this sound where it says ball or strike. I think it's a great idea. Now, is it always accurate? Supposedly, sure. But I think for umpires to have that to base off of is a good idea. Because then you're eliminating all this controversial issues, and then what happens? More fans will possibly enjoy it a little bit better, so they're not being all ticked off about wrong calls. And I think another thing, too, to add is the fact that fans are not paying attention so much with baseball because of the issues with controversial calls and getting people ticked off. And so I think just adding this element will be a good idea for baseball to really improvise and make that next step into getting fans back into the game.
Yeah, that's like the biggest deal with all these like rule changes coming into the MLB right now. They're definitely trying to change up how the game is running to try and make people like get back into baseball, because MLB is not like the big ticket right now. But it's this rule change, I just don't see it. I don't think it's the right move, because I don't think people understand how much is going to change by this. It's not just balls and strikes. A lot more things are going to be changing when you take like an umpire out of that realm. Like, and you know, people get caught up on these like one call mistakes, like in the Dodgers-Giants game. Definitely did not swing at that pitch, but you know, there's 9 innings in a game, and you know, one call at the end of the game, like you don't know if that's really going to change that much. But you have these leagues that, because this year the minor leagues are doing the robot ump, and I think the Arizona Fall League did it a year ago, but with like a very new system. The system that they're doing now has been updated, but there were a lot of complaints with that system that was tested in Arizona. They said that surprisingly wasn't very like reliable, and sometimes on those like calls that no one really knows, not even the robot knows whether to call it which way, it kind of stalled it and then didn't take too much time. So I don't think it's a very good decision to put this into the game.
Now, I will say, I don't think that the robot umpires should take over completely of the game. I think the umpires should still have that implement of them being involved in the game. That should not be going away. But I say just to get more accurate with the calls and getting to the point where we're not having all this discrepancy and having to wait with review calls, for example, too. A lot more review calls have been going to the booth lately, to New York, to overrule a play. And that just takes time away from the game. So I think when you add all this in together and just having some reform of it, it can make baseball just a lot of a better game, in my opinion.
Yeah, my biggest like discrepancy with putting into like robot ump is when you call in like balls and strikes. I feel like once you have the robot behind the plate, like, and yeah, he's not taking full like responsibility, like the umpire, I guess, if like can still have some say. But I'm just scared that it's going to take out like catchers framing pitches. I think that is a huge skill that is become more and more prevalent with catchers. Like if you look at a guy like Buster Posey, like if he's not able to steal strikes for his pitchers, like he can right now, like it changes it so drastically. And that's my biggest concern is, and framing pitches is something that sets catchers apart in the league. And if you take that out, that's a huge skill that all these catchers coming up into the big leagues or trying to make a spot, they're just not going to be able to do anymore.
I think too, with adding that on top of that, with the catchers framing the pitches, I think it also gives pitchers the ability to give a certain spot that the umpires will keep giving that spot to them. Whereas a lot of it's inconsistent with when they hit a spot and they hit it again, and it's the strike, and then it's the ball the second time.
Yeah.
So I think just adding all this implement will be great. But anyways, that is all we have time for today. We'll throw it to Max to end our show. But thanks for joining us.
And thank you so much for coming on and watching the show today. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at TakeaSideKU. And if you have any opinions and you want to vote on the debates we talked about today, go on to sided.co and make sure you leave a vote, comment, and even post some of your own debates. We'd love to be able to interact with that on that interface and try and win a $25 Amazon gift card. So thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.